Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Yorkshire Gamer once again. And I'm going to do a quick flip through or look at these two books that have been sent to me by the wonderful Simon Miller. And these are for the To the Strongest rule set, and it is a guide for wargaming the battles in Scotland and Ireland during the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. And this first book here, called The Celtic Fringe, is a short guide to helping you reflect the attributes of the units that were used in those theatres, which were a little bit different to that going on further south. And then we have this one here, 9 scenarios covering the Marquis of Montrose battles in Scotland. So the little thing before we start, they have been written by Bill Linnart, Peter Page, Paul Reynolds. Don't know any of them. So here's a little bit at the start. I have been given these free by Simon. I do not play To the Strongest. I am, however, a massive fan and reader of the Marquis of Montrose, get it right, and his battles in Scotland. So it is something I am interested in, is something I am aware of. Going to do a very quick flick through first of this book first, The Celtic Fringe, which will mean more to regular players of To the Strongest. But I'm going to give you a flavour of it just to see if it's worth you buying. So here's the Celtic Fringe book that we were talking about, and I use a set of rules called Forlorn Hope, which were written back in the 80s, and we're just really happy with them, which is why we don't change to another set of rules. Too many rules, too little time. But lots of people do play and enjoy To the Strongest, so this is for you. Advert from my mate there, Flags of War, Ian. Go and buy your flags from him. Keeps him quiet. And then we've got an introduction. I'm not going to go through everything on here, but as you can see, it's got optional markers and rules that you can use. Attach bows, attach shot, permanent disorder, optional rules for Highlanders, etc. Optional rules for Irish skirmishers, and then a little bit of a chat about how to represent the different unit types on the table. And this is going to be a very quick flick through. As I say, I'm going to concentrate mostly on the scenario book. The pictures in here, I have to say, are absolutely superb. Both books are really well produced. Nice, big, clear text for us oldies. I haven't had to get me readers out for this. I can actually see what's going on. And a nice touch that I do like is it's got this background print in here, which I'm generally not a fan of, because what people normally do when they're printing stuff is they have it going over the text and you can't read sod all. But somebody somewhere has been clever and just blurred it out at the edges where the writing is. So it's good and clear and easy to use. And if you look up there, we've got some they look like 6 or 10mm figures, so lots of different scales are represented in these rules. And again, we've got 6mm or 10mm down there, 28mm up here, which is great to see. Like to see lots of different types of figures introduced and shown in these books. When you're buying from somebody like, dare I say, Warlord, it's all Warlord figures in it, and you know, sometimes they don't do the whole range, for example. So great to see, lovely choice. And then lots of details here about the different types of horse. These are Scottish horse and how they are represented in To the Strongest. So I'm not going to show you all of it because you might not have to go out and buy it then, but I hope that's given you a taste, if you're a player of To the Strongest, whether this is a good book for you. I think it is. This particular book is very much based around the rules, with the way the rules, the way things are represented in there, and the optional rules, etc. Very much for To the Strongest. Nice suggested reader at the end, and then index. Well done, everyone. People do listen. So we'll put that to one side. I'll put links to Simon's website in the notes to this video, and if you want to pop along, you can buy one of those. So this is the book that I'm particularly interested in. To the Strongest, Montrose to Win or Lose It All. 9 scenarios covering the Marquis of Montrose battles in Scotland, 1644-1645. So let's have a deep dive into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a flick through, introduce you to the sort of detail parts of it, flick through the scenarios, and then I'm going to concentrate on the first scenario in the book, just to give you an idea of how those scenarios work. Obviously, if I showed you all of them, you wouldn't need to buy the book, but I'm going to give you a flavour of what is in each scenario and how it works. So, Montrose, to win it or lose it all. And Eureka Miniatures in the front, nice picture of the Marquis there. Then table of contents, we always like those, and an introduction. Figures required, nice handy one. I like these in campaign books where you have a line across the top with your battles and then all the units, and you can just cross-reference the two. Heaven forbid it's a chart, I know. Maybe you could roll some dice and it tells you what troops they are, but a chart, love a chart. And then we go into a little bit of background about the wars, then a biography, short biography of the people that were involved, and you need to know things about the National Covenant and things like that for Scotland. The Alistair McCullough, again, don't listen to me for pronunciations. All the different people involved, and William Bailey, great stuff. Map keys for the rest of the book, and then we move on to the scenarios first. And this Ban v Burn, 28th of August 1644, is, I believe, a fictitious battle that is kind of there with lots of different types of units in to get you used to the rules that we just saw in Celtic Fringe. So I'm going to flick through that, and we'll go through that in some detail. But we've got Tippermuir, Justice Mills, which is near Aberdeen, I believe. Look at that, showing me knowledge. Fife, God. Ian McDonald's going to actually tear me to pieces for this. Inverlochy, that's close. And Old Learn, that's a fairly big battle, if I remember correctly. And Alford, etc., etc. And Kilsyth, and towards the back here, we have, when we can find it, some details on running it as a campaign, which is really useful. Playing each game as a linked system with campaign point systems, benefits, etc. Capturing objectives, how you campaign, and then a little handy little score chart at the end. Fantastic stuff. We've got suggested reading here. I first read about Marquis of Montrose on holiday in Greece, would you believe, when I was about 18. And I should have been drinking, etc. But I was reading Nigel Tranter's book on the Earl of Montrose, and it was really thick, and I really enjoyed it. Bit sharpy for this kind of day, but I really enjoyed it. Index, little bit of a quibble there. I think it could have been a little bit more in detail. It takes you to the battles, etc. That's kind of what the introduction does at the start. I would have liked to have seen more detail here with, you know, the different units and the different places they're mentioned in the battles, etc. But that's a very small quibble from what is a absolutely fantastic presented book. And so we'll go back to this Ban v Burn and look at this in detail. And this is what you get for each of these scenarios. So we get a background, a little bit of fluff, and then you get a briefing for one of the players, McCullough, the Irish chap. There he is, looking very dapper in those striped trousers. Then you get deployment notes for him, and then you get Athol. He's the commander of the Covenanters side, and you get a little briefing for him and deployment notes. Then scenario rules, clear and concise. They tell you exactly what the rules of the battle are. The map notes then tell you about the terrain, and then design notes, a little bit of background about the conjecture that they've used to get to this point in the battlefield. Then we move on to what I think are the main selling points of this book. First one is maps. Now, I love a good map, and this for a war gamer is what I call a good map. Sometimes you have these fantastically detailed maps and you can't tell where bugger all is. So this thing here You look at your key, you find out where everything is, and there it is. Obviously, it's set up in the squares, which is essential for playing to the strongest. And many of you out there might not be a fan of a grid system. I don't use one, but I can set up this as a table and play it freeform. No problems whatsoever. Just because it says to the strongest on the front, it doesn't mean that it's only for to the strongest. So these are the quality of the maps you get. I think these are ideal for wargaming. And then we flick over the page and we get the units that were involved. And this is McCullough's army. And it gives you the regiment name, the brigade that they're in, what they are. So here we've got commanded shot, veteran, AKS, and then you can look back at the abbreviations in the start. And then the stats here are purely for to the strongest, obviously. But when we've got here, we've got the detail that will be enough for you to use them in most other systems. So the regiments are small. If it doesn't say anything, they're average, and then sometimes you will have large regiments as well. Personally, I would have liked to have seen a number of men. That would have been useful just to help it go in to be used for other rule sets, so you can then convert it across. I know Dave Brown's big on it. I know it's kind of the latest thing of having small, medium and large units. I'm old school. I like numbers of figures. Not quite old enough to, well, I do like numbers of men and crossing off charts and stuff, but that's just me. I'm an old guffer. So, and then you get the other side. So that's all you need to play the game very, very quickly on that 3 or 4 sets of pages. And we have got 9 scenarios in the book. As I say, linked together to form a campaign. Very, very good. I'm very, very impressed with this. Just those 2 minor niggles about that. Would have liked a more in-depth index, and I would have liked more information for people who are going to use it, not for to the strongest. But I do think there is enough in there for you to crack on and play the game. So thanks very much, Simon, to sending me these out for my use and review. Certainly this one here is going to get used in the future. I have the other campaign, Martindale to, I can't remember what it was. It's in the back of here. This book here, Marlow to Maidenhead, and I'm revamping my late friend's ECW army in the summer. That's the summer project I'm going to do. We're going to crack on and play that with Flaw and Hope. But I think these campaign books are the absolute business. So click on the links down below. I don't get any money for the sales or anything, so don't worry about that. Simon might buy me a cup of tea if I'm really lucky at Partisan. But that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope these are useful for you. And if you do buy them, enjoy them, because they are really, really decent product. Once again, until next time, see you.